Alabama. How are you? My name is Jared Budlong. I am running as an independent candidate for governor here in this state. The election is November 8th, 2022, so make sure you're registered. If you're not, search for Register Online Alabama or go to my website. It's linked in the bio of the profile that you're watching this on, and there should be a link in a section further down the page. That's like resources, I think is what it's titled, but there should be a way to register online through the Secretary of State's website. If you do it early enough, you should be able to do it online. We don't have to mail something in and wait for it, and give it a shot that way. If that doesn't work for whatever reason, then you can mail in something. But give it a shot. Make sure you're registered. This is important. So, today is Saturday. It is 9 o'clock-ish in the morning Central Standard Time, and we are going to talk about strategy. So far, most of my campaign has been digital and online, and that has been out of necessity. Things are picking up, and we're getting a lot of attention, which is great, and that is going to turn into more in-person strategy as soon as we have volunteers here to help out and plan that stuff out, which we've got people in. Ooh, it's got feedback. Interesting. Okay. Thank you, Annie and Felicity. Hold on one second. Is that any... It's probably not any better. Hold on. Yeah, working on it. It's the same setup we always use. So let's find out. Nope. Those are both right. Gotta love it when your normal settings don't work like they're supposed to. Interesting. Is that any better? I'm not sure. Yeah, that should be better. Okay, cool. It's very dramatic, yeah. Hello. All right. Cool. Taylor, welcome to the stream. This is my campaign manager, Taylor, and we should be better now. You actually got perfect timing because evidently we had audio feedback issues. So. Oh, perfect. Yeah, I love that we have live feedback. Thank you. Annie, Felicity, and Amanda for chiming in and telling me that it was really hard to hear because we had a snafu the other day where no sound was coming through for a bit. So appreciate it. So what I mentioned earlier, we have primarily been a digital campaign, and that was out of necessity. So we're a grassroots campaign. Started out with literally a brand new accounts for everything with no money. We had no money in the, like we didn't even have an account. We created a bank account much later on once we had some things in place, and that is something that is not common for somebody running for governor, at least, is not having all that stuff set up. So digital has been our primary method, and we're slowly adding in more in-person or physical events and things to help with getting the word out. So the big thing, and it's something I'm mentioning a lot more because I'm realizing not as many people realize how, I'm trying to find the right word, how common it is to not feel like your voice matters in this state. It's easy to feel like there is an overwhelming majority of people who vote the same way that our state is run. And historically, that's not true. We have, and the numbers I keep popping up is just because it's literally pulled from the state records, is our voting records, our ballot casting history for, as far back as you can go. There's a very low turnout on average. As far back as I went, let me say that, and that's a good decade or so. The voter turnout's pretty low. The biggest one I bring up is the last election, which is in 2020, and I consider that to be one of the most contentious elections. Like if you were going to vote, I would have hoped you were going to vote in that one. If you're an active voter who thinks your voice matters, you're going to vote in that election. And more than a third of our registered voters, not trying to play statistics and say, well, out of everyone in the state, only a third of people didn't vote. Like, no, we're counting registered voters compared to the people who did vote. Like only a third, more than a third didn't. So that's about 1.4 million people who are registered and could have, but didn't vote. Obviously, there's some leniency there for people who may have been registered but moved. There's some small numbers there that may have shifted, but it's a large enough number when you consider the straight ballot voting of that same election. So the Republican straight ballot votes were about 950,000. The straight ballot or straight party vote for Democrats is about 550,000. Again, rough numbers. The point is, there are more people who didn't vote than voted straight party for either party. Now there's a delta, there's a variance in the straight ticket or straight party voting and the non-voters. There's also some mixed ballot voters, people who actually do their research and vote based on their conscience and what they can find about those candidates. And what I am looking to do is reach the people that are in that 1.4 million range, the ones that are not voting, because the people that I'm talking to generally their response for why they don't vote is it doesn't matter, and it's not their fault. Our state and country doesn't do a good job of explaining, or we focus too much on the presidential election. I'll say it that way, which in that scenario, I'm not going to disagree with them. Like, if you're in a state like Alabama and you do not vote Republican, your vote doesn't really matter for the presidential election, not the way it's set up. And if you want to talk about your district, your specific district, your voice may not matter. Those can get rearranged. In fact, in 2020, I believe they did. They just got redistricted, and it was not. Sorry, maybe that was earlier this year, right? Taylor, do you remember if it was? I think it was earlier this year, because somebody tried to say, hey, you shouldn't do that this close to the election, and it went up to one of the levels of the courts. I don't remember which offhand because we're doing this live, but the courts eventually said, hey, yeah, like, we're not going to make a decision. It's too close to the elections. And like the pushback was like, that's the point. Like, it's really close to the elections, and they just redistricted. So I get it for certain scenarios, but what I will say is anything that is statewide, so any of your executive level, like, that's popular vote. That is what I'm calling a one-to-one vote. Like, if you vote, you vote, and it matters. It doesn't matter what your neighbor does. It doesn't matter what your district does. It doesn't matter what your county does. It doesn't matter what the state has done historically, because again, we only report on the ones who vote. We don't account for all the ones who don't vote, and I really wish more people would report that. It's something I've been promoting an app who is not affiliated with me, but if you want to be more involved and understand the politics happening that will affect you, there is an app called Activote. They're not affiliated. I just enjoy the app for the information it tries to present to you. It tries to keep you engaged. I actually need to send an email sometime today and point out to them, like, hey, you tried to tell people what their city, county, and districts and states percentages are, but they don't mention it doesn't look like they account for the non-voters. They only count for the people who are registered as a Republican or as a Democrat or as an independent, which is another confusing point. And then they have other, but they don't give a percentage of, like, don't vote. Like, they don't show. They show it by registration, not by activity, and that's unfortunate. It gives a misconception on how things are happening, I think. So,
Jared, are you live on TikTok?
I am not live on TikTok because I couldn't find the wallpaper and I was running out of time. So, maybe for the next one.
Okay.
That one gets super distracting anyway, so I'm not pressured. I miss you. If you're used to seeing me on TikTok and you're like, what happened? I do. I enjoy it, but it's distracting. I couldn't get it to work, so we moved on. I want to be respectful of everybody's time, so that's what we're doing. So strategy-wise, the game plan, we need to come up with what we want to do for the next week or two, and just come up with a rough idea on what we want to do here. We've had some new volunteers come into the fold and have gotten onboarded, one of which is going to be helping us with social media, so thank you for that, Amanda. And part of that is, that strategy is going to be from Amanda. I don't think they've had a chance to type up their ideas, but
we chatted them yesterday.
Okay, cool. Yeah, do you have anything do you have anything solid that you want to announce?
Well,
I mean, just rough ideas, like, not actually, you don't have to say we're going to post on Tuesdays and Wednesdays about this topic,
no.
but
These were more like
Mm-hmm.
That we get, like, that we're always going to get every live stream, law
Yeah.
enforcement, gun control, abortion, all that kind of stuff, and just do 60-second TikToks and with big labels,
Yeah.
and put them in a playlist. That way, if we're talking about, law enforcement, and somebody's asking about Medicaid, I can respond and say, hey, there's a playlist. That video is in there.
Yeah. Yeah.
That way we're not having to, which we love it, or he loves answering your questions. Don't get us wrong, but
Depending on the meeting, it can be very distracting, and
Yeah.
it sidetracks from the purpose, especially if it's a planned meeting like this, where it's like, hey, we're going to talk about strategy, and if you come in and start asking about, what I feel about the foster care system, and it's like, we can have that conversation, but it's not the time or place. Well,
Yeah.
it's the place. It's not the right time for that conversation.
I understand that you have those questions.
Yeah. And they're important. We need to talk about them. We want to stay focused. Yeah, 100%.
Um,
I like the idea. I started recording them, and I might have to go more than 60 seconds, just because
that's fine.
I'm okay with those being duetable and non-stitchable. Plus, the longer videos. Speaking strategy-wise, Amanda, you can chime in the chat if you have seen a difference in the past couple of years, but typically longer videos work better on other platforms. Like Facebook likes longer videos, at least from what I recall from research from a couple of years ago, at least. They like longer videos rather than shorter videos. You got to keep people engaged, and that's the challenge of making a longer video. And I would hate to miss that opportunity, because on TikTok, I'm not worried about the policies or positions being stitchable and duetable necessarily, especially if it's just an FAQ resource. I'm not as worried about the engagement piece, because the 3 minute, anything over a minute rather, is harder to duet. I don't think you can do it with sound, and then stitching, I guess you technically can, depending on your account. But anyway, that's getting a bit into the weeds, I think. But that's this is the kind of stuff we're thinking about, and just coming up with plans to make sure we're reaching more people efficiently. So and that's we've got to be efficient, because we're limited on resources. Like, I started the call, Taylor, you weren't on yet, so I don't think you heard it, but the whole point is this is a grassroots, volunteer, unpaid organization. Like, we have to do things as efficiently as possible, otherwise we end up wasting time saying the same thing over and over and over and over again, rather than
smarter, not harder.
rather than just pointing people to a resource that says, hey, I don't, it's not that I don't want to answer you. I need you to take the initiative to look things up, and hey, here, I can put you in the right place. Just go watch that.
Well, Anita and I also talked about a database on your website of, you can put the frequently asked question videos there,
Mm-hmm.
and then we also talked about all of our meetings. That way, we can be like, if you want to watch us talk about, or bitch about Medicaid for an hour, here's the video.
Right.
You know.
Yeah, and once now that we have people jumping on board who can help manage that on the various digital platforms, I am all for it. We can do that. It was too much for the smaller team to handle previously. So Amanda mentioned that it's really short or really long to appease the algorithm. So if they're okay with 60 seconds, I could try to fit it into 60 seconds. I was trying to record the lottery video, and that one's tough in 60 seconds. It's just I'm gonna have to go over. Yeah, well, because it's not just, I want people to understand I don't know, maybe I tend to overthink things, and I get it. It's a really good habit and trait to have in certain instances where it's like, hey, we're not thinking about this hard enough. But occasionally, there are subjects that I think about way too hard and shouldn't. So please, Amanda and Taylor, everybody else on the media team, let me know if I shouldn't worry about going into a whole bunch of nuance in those FAQ videos, and if I should just keep it short and sweet. I got that feedback on a live the other night by Corey Wilson. We were talking about cash bonds, and I thought I had answered the question and then was expanding, but evidently I never actually definitively answered the question, which was, no, I don't think they should exist because they're exploitative. But I said they were exploitative.
I love you, but sometimes that's why I do that.
Yeah.
Is I jump in and I'm like, he's not against the yeah.
Yeah, no, I have that tendency, and most of it's because I want people to understand the why, not just the what. And
Absolutely.
and it's tough because some people just hear the what and make assumptions. Like the lottery as an example is the reason it was taking so long is I don't want the state to be responsible for a lottery. Now, like, do I think people should be able to gamble? Of course. Like, it's your money, do what you
Yeah,
want.
who
I
cares?
don't
Yeah.
think the state should be pretending to use the lottery to fund services for the general welfare of the state, which typically is to help people who can't afford those things in the first place, when the lottery is going to negatively, disproportionately impact the communities we're supposedly trying to help. And like that's just where it gets weird, and that entire thing takes more than 60 seconds typically. Although I think I just did it, so we might have to clip this and post it. I think I finally did it, and we just need to post this.
Yeah. But
Anyway,
also, Anita and Amanda and I were talking yesterday about just some fun. I had mentioned them to you before, but I'm not gonna give details because it would be
a surprise.
kind of prize. It's a surprise. But just some fun, like postable to different social media 60-second quote unquote commercials that are funny and informative, and because I mean if you're gonna deliver a message and it can be funny, why not?
Yeah, no, I'm all for it.
So yeah, so we had some great ideas, and just kind of bandying about those. We had a lot of good stuff.
Cool.
Let me check our chat and see if
Yep.
there's anything
I was gonna say
else.
Amanda mentioned that 3 minute videos are great, but you can make both. Right? Make the 3 minute, but then also make the 30 second, like yes, no, and then click to view the further explanation. So especially on platforms that allow you to link out and click to others, there's usually a way to do that on most of them. We should be able to pull that off on all of them. So anyway, yeah, we'd have to do that consciously on some platforms like Twitter, where you can't go back and edit in an old one. So we would have to post the longer one first, then post the most recent, and then link to the original one in the tweet. We have to get creative and make sure we do it correctly. But yeah, I'm all for that. Something I wanted to bring up because I sent you or I tagged you in a comment last night, and I want to make sure I talk about it here so I don't forget about it. But there's a
I hope
salon.
you get it.
Yeah, it's okay. It was on TikTok. There's a salon in Huntsville that made this video about a dramatic hair transformation, right? And they follow my account and they've engaged and they're super cool. And they did a rainbow color down some long hair, like pigtails in the back, like little skinny. Pigtails isn't the right word. I don't want to call them rat tails either, but I don't have the right word for it because I don't have hair. But you know what I'm saying? It's little skinny braids,
I'm looking.
right? So it's little skinny braids. But I said, "Oh, that's super cool. Like, what do you think you could do with a beard?" And somebody commented, and they were like, "I mean, it wasn't the creator originally, but they were like, your profile pic," and I was like, that's kind of what I was implying, but I don't know if they can do the progress pride flag because of the weird change in direction with the triangle coming from the side, but top down maybe the rainbow color,
It would
or side to side. We could pop.
yeah.
Yeah, we could still
I
do that.
can absolutely do that, Jared.
Well, I was thinking about.
Him to do it. That's fine.
Well, no, I was thinking about making a trip to Huntsville as a strategic move. So we need to schedule an event in Huntsville, but as a precursor, go to that hair salon, get my beard done, and then go to the event.
Are you
So,
gonna run around with a rainbow beard for
however,
the election?
I mean, I don't know how long it's going to look good.
Jared, we'll talk about vivid colors after the meeting as someone who has had.
Yeah, they don't. They eventually they start fading, but then also
Yeah.
things grow out. So like, there's a concern. So like, don't like. I understand, and that's why I wanted.
Figured
That's
it
why I wanted to talk about it. I was like, I'm all for it. I also understand that if we do it horizontally, then the growth becomes a problem. Whereas if it stays vertical, we could potentially touch up.
You can touch up the roots, yeah.
Right.
You can touch up the roots, and also, I mean, I'm sure Alicia, you can get little dyes at Sally's, and you can touch up without a problem.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's something that's easily maintained,
Right.
especially since it's on your face bag. You can see it.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
we're in a strategy meeting, so I think the conversation that's happening on Facebook, I think, is relevant. Uh, there was a comment about the Democratic candidate not really having any funding at this point either, and we're not in a finance meeting. We're only going to do those once a month unless until it changes to a weekly reporting system. But we've raised a decent amount of money, given it's an independent grassroots campaign, and looking at the financing for the Democratic candidate, because it's all publicly available, but their cash donations aren't much more than we've received. Now they have more in-kind donations, meaning somebody donated their time, services, maybe equipment or venue, things like that get counted as an in-kind donation because it's worth money at that point, but it's not. They didn't physically hand them cash. But the in-kind cash donations aren't much higher than we are right now. It's we could easily outfund. Is that the right way to say that? Outfund them. We could easily be outfunded or out. I can't think of the right words. That's one of the downsides of doing these things live. But we could easily get more funding than they have so far. I'm not focused on that because the point of funding is to get my name out there. So if you can't help get my name out in person to the people around you, because that's what I really want you to do. Like if you're watching this video and you want to know like the best way to help the campaign, we need to reach people that do not normally vote. And if they don't normally vote, they typically aren't going to be paying attention to content that talks about the elections. So the best way to do that is getting people who are understanding what's happening to talk to the people around them about what's happening and say, hey, like, even if it's, I don't know, talking to your neighbor while they're, getting ready to mow their lawn or clip their hedges or, whatever they're going to do, and just, start a conversation there. I need you to start having those now because November is going to be here very, very quick. And I understand that if they're not currently a voter, they aren't likely to just flip on a switch by talking to one person, right? So
I'm trying to find your live on Facebook and I can't find it.
my live on Facebook. Oh, it's on the campaign page. I've switched these to the campaign because I can reply in comments. I can't reply to the personal profile lives in comments through the app we're using. Facebook changed that ability. So and it's a campaign video, so we're just going to publish it to the campaign page. Yep.
I was on
The personal.
No,
Look for
it was on
the rainbow beard.
campaign one.
It should be on Rainbow Beard because I've got people commenting. Annie mentioned you're not sure if dyeing my beard's a good idea unless dyeing my beard is a good idea unless I'm going to shave it. I mean, I'm not opposed to shaving it at some point. Like I enjoy having a beard. I look completely different without one. I don't have a photo easily that I can pull up and show you, but it's a drastic difference. So. Like I'm not opposed to letting it grow out some and trimming it super short at some point. I don't want to do that anytime before November, so it's a valid concern, and that's why I wanted to bring it up to everybody because it would be a strategic move for me to do this. Like it wouldn't be I don't want to do it without thinking it through. I'm not opposed to doing it, but we don't want to be too drastic for the voters. No, Annie, I'm not actually worried about that. I want to reach the people that literally don't vote, and being outrageous is not. I don't think that's going to work against me. If somebody wants to counterpoint that, I'm happy to. I'm open to hearing the difference, but I don't want to be seen as a typical politician either. I've joked about being like Vermin Supreme and putting a boot on my head. Like I really don't care. Like if it gets somebody's attention to get them think about what's happening in this state and like get their attention. That'd be great. I don't want them to think I'm incompetent. So like the boot on the head thing was mostly a joke. But a dyed beard, like I'm not. If somebody has a problem with me dyeing my beard, then I'm not sure.
Not gonna like the rest of.
Well, I'm gonna say I don't think that they're gonna actually want me in office. And like this isn't meant to be a trick. Like I want people to vote for me because they believe that where I want this state to go resonates with where they would like to see the state go. Again, it's really hard to get that through to people who have been so frustrated with the way politics work in general in this country. Our state's no different. I'm not here to play that normal game. Like I literally I said it in one of my videos. If what comes out of this campaign, even if I don't get elected, which is the goal, but even if I don't get elected and we have a 75, 80, 90% voter turnout, like that gives us a much better idea of what people actually want out of the state than the 62.8% that we had in 2020. And that was a presidential election. Those are the bigger ones. Like I don't have the stats in front of me, but like the midterm elections like this one have a lower turnout, mostly because people don't think their voice matters. And actually, it's inverted. It should be the other way around. Like there should be less turnout for the, well, whatever. People should care less about their in certain states for their vote for president. I'll say it that way. I still think you should vote because it's a good way to show your voice if you believe in somebody that you're voting for. And I don't blame anybody that hasn't voted in the past. If you didn't believe there's somebody worth voting for, I don't blame you for not voting. Like I know people don't like that response, but in the way things are set up, I don't blame you. Now, what I think would be an interesting idea, we're getting out of our strategy piece, but I'll say this: I think I wish we had a different voting process, and I wish it was mandatory, but there was an option to say no good options. Like I'm here, I'm participating, you all suck. No.
Yeah.
like that. Like I wish it was mandatory so we had a higher turnout, but that would require us to actually shift. Everybody has to be off work. It'd have to be like a paid holiday for everybody. I mean, the country would shut down for a day.
I don't think your employer is allowed to tell you that you can't go vote.
They're not. And the polls are typically open for like 12 hours. The problem is, can you realistically get to the polls when they're open between your shifts? And like that's where it gets.
Some medical workers, like when I worked at the animal hospital, I worked 7 to 6, 30 minutes away. So,
Yeah, and if it's 7 to 7, then you realistically can't get there in time. And at that point, the owner of your company should allow some leniency there, like find some way to let you go.
they did.
Yeah.
I'll add that they did.
Okay, good. I mean, again,
they were good about it, but like
not here to call them out, but that's something they should be doing. If they don't, technically, legally, they can't do that. In our state, it's problematic to raise concerns, depending on your agreement with your employer. It's very easy to let people go for any reason, including the color of your hair. So,
or if you have protective hairstyles for natural hair.
Yeah, the Crown Act is working on that, so that's a national issue. So support your legislators who want to support the Crown Act. But
I actually saw a Dove commercial when I went to the movies, and they had something
yeah,
where they're trying to raise awareness and stuff like that. So
right.
buy Dove soap.
If you believe. If you're okay with buying Dove soap. So back to strategy pieces. So the next couple of weeks, there's going to be a higher focus on making sure that the information about the campaign is posted in multiple places. The easiest place for me to make and create content is TikTok because of the way it's set up. It's very easy to create content there and then allow that to get posted. It's not difficult to repost somewhere else, but it does take extra time. So I'm super thankful for everybody who's going to be helping with the social media piece. There is an app, if anybody's curious, like there's an app that lets you download from another platform without their watermark. So TikTok, for instance, puts a little watermark with the username. You can download the video without the watermark and then repost somewhere else, so it looks less cross-posting. It looks less like a cross-post. If there's a comment or something in the video, then it's going to be pretty obvious. But if it's just a regular video, you can do that. And that is our plan currently, until there's maybe some more structured time to record definite videos or defined videos for specific platforms. Amanda, have we talked about showing to art walks and gatherings with signs, or maybe conducting fun short interviews with you and voters? Thought about it, and I realized yesterday was Mobile's art walk at 5 o'clock, and I had already scheduled a a video call with someone at like 7. So I made the mistake of not double booking because I didn't put Art Walk in my calendar, but I made the mistake of booking a 1-to-1 video instead of going to an event like Art Walk, which happens once a month. So I just missed I just missed a big opportunity for the campaign, and that's unfortunate on me. So if anybody wants to take that on as a way of finding events that are coming up in my local area or far enough in the future in other cities, like, let's get those on the calendar and make sure we have the funding to pay for the travel to get up there. Like, I was just in Birmingham to try to go to an event, ended up getting canceled, but we made use of the trip. And I think we, including fuel and food costs for a day trip to Birmingham, was like $150. Like, it's not, and that was a day trip. I drove up that morning. I left at 5, got home at 8-ish, and it cost us $150 or so. Like, it's not cheap to go up there and come back. And that's something that, when people ask about, donations, somebody asked on TikTok about, why is money so important to politics? I'm like, because everything you do costs money. And if we're doing a campaign and we have to reach people, we have to spend money to do it. And whether that's advertising or events or trips to Birmingham or Huntsville or Montgomery or Opelika or, I don't know. I'm trying to think of a town that somebody else has asked about recently, Phoenix City. Like, if I'm going to go to any of those places, it costs money to get there. And if it's just a day trip, it still costs money because I have to pay for fuel. We got to cover that. So, yeah, Amanda, that was incredibly unfortunate. Oversight on my part. So, TikTok videos or TikTok interview videos are fun. You love them. Yeah, those are like man on the street type videos, and I'm all for it. Let's talk to everyday people that want to hear or have their voice heard about their concerns about the state. So I'm here for it. Let's find out times where that makes sense, so we're not having to hunt people down, where we can just go where they're going to be and talk to them. So Annie, sorry. Yeah, check out the website. There's a volunteer page. So if you go to the link that's in my bio, you're on Facebook, it should be there. It's the quick links page. There's a volunteer form that you can fill out. The warning that Amanda, you're on it. Oh, yep, I see him. Sorry. You do your thing, Amanda. Thank you. That's why you're here. I need to let you do your job. Strategy. So more in-person stuff. So we need help finding events that are coming up all across Alabama. The further away from like the Gulf Coast, the more time we need to plan to get there. So I'll say that. If it's Evergreen and below, give me a couple days. If it's Montgomery and higher, give me a couple weeks if you can. I need time to get there. Somebody has mentioned an event that's coming up in August. It's like August 25th. I am looking into that. I can't remember who gave me the info, but I started a spreadsheet, and it's in the spreadsheet to look at and figure out if we can go. So if you have ideas for events to attend, for now, use the feedback form on the website. That'll put it into a spreadsheet that we can reference. But other strategy stuff. Let's see. We got about 20 minutes before we need to take a quick break before our next meeting. What am I not thinking of?
I guess I was thinking last night, in between waking up every 2 hours to feed this tiny kitten, about things that we could hand out to people that would cost us very little when we do canvassing and stuff.
Yep.
Because, obviously, like signs and stuff, we would love to have the money to just hand this shit out for free.
That would be great.
That would be wonderful. But, I was trying to think of like low cost things that people could, I'll take a sticker, put it on my water bottle.
Yeah. So we've got some sticker designs that are a couple that are in the works. So we're working on those. We actually have somebody. I don't think they follow the campaign on Facebook. I think they're on TikTok primarily, but they have offered to buy the first batch. Essentially, like, hey, they will pay for the first batch of stickers, 200 or whatever it is, and they just want a small portion of them so they can hand them out to friends, but they're willing to pay for the first batch, and then we can start handing that stuff out, which is cool. So if that's something you want to do, let us know. You can help us essentially kickstart some of these smaller items that we can use to help market the campaign and get people aware this early. It seems counterintuitive to say this early. Like for me, it's right around the corner. We're less than 130 days away from the election, but no one else. I can't say nobody else. Most people aren't actively campaigning. Like they're making posts on social media, but they're not actively trying to like engage with new people. From what it looks like,
Some of them are posting terrible things.
some people are helping us unintentionally, and that's I'll let them keep doing their thing because it's not a detriment to me so far. Yeah, so that's something else we can do that will help us get our name out in front of more people. So we're working on those designs. And I'm willing to post the art for those on the merch store as a digital download. Essentially, we've done that for a couple items so far. So we've done a flyer and a postcard size. Those are available.
There's also something called Avery, and you can buy.
Oh yeah,
you can
the
buy, like,
stickers you make at home.
stickers. I wonder if we could do like. They won't be like waterproof or anything like that.
I was gonna say that would be my concern. Is that all the home printing methods are going to be inkjet typically, and those don't hold up to water very well. So you would want to be careful about where you put them.
Yeah.
So
But if that is something you're interested in, we can see if that's an
well,
option.
all I was gonna say, what I was gonna say is that we could just post the art up there, and if you want to contribute, you can. If you want to, do $0, that's fine. But it'll allow you to download the art and like post it to social media, and that way you could
Yeah.
use it for that method, which was, again, I think that was a suggestion from somebody other than myself. So we'll be having those up as soon as the artwork is finished for the stickers. We'll get those posted. Let's see. I do.
definitely
Oh, go
think-
ahead.
No, I was just gonna say I definitely think that some TikTok videos or stuff that address some of the recent things that have come out would be a funny addition. I was just-
Meaning other candidates.
yeah,
Yeah,
but not in an attacking.
I don't know.
I'll tell you separately.
No, I mean we can talk about it here. I don't care. Like that's
No, it's gotta be. No, it's just gonna be
okay. All right.
I know I'm terrible.
Well, for the record, for everybody else, no. For the my point is, I don't want to be that. I don't want to be the typical politician. I don't want to focus on the quote unquote opposition because I don't think they're actually opposition or competition for this campaign. Like I don't think they are. Like everybody else wants to keep telling us they are, but the numbers literally aren't on their side. Like they are not talking to the vast majority of our population, and they're in a comfortable place. Like they think that they're okay, and they're not. If we can all work together and reach the rest of the voters who aren't voting, and I'm not saying that's
It's
an
like I
easy
said,
task, but
We gotta swim down like Nemo.
gotta swim
everybody
down like
was-
Nemo. Oh, in the fishnet, yeah.
Yeah, everybody was swimming 100 different ways and panicking.
Yeah.
And they all wanted the same thing, end goal, which was to get out of the net.
Yeah.
But Nemo said, everybody, we've got to work together and swim down. And so they all swam down together and they got out of the net. So we
Yeah.
just have to swim in the same direction together.
Yeah. So Amanda is bringing up that there should be some local artists who can make stuff for us here locally, and that helps. One thing that would be kind of cool is find some artists that make stuff in some of the major cities, and reach out to people in like Huntsville, Montgomery, Birmingham, maybe even some of the college towns like Tuscaloosa and Auburn and is it Troy, one of the other slightly bigger college towns, and reach out to those people and have them see if they're interested in making those buttons, if there are people interested in that town, and that way we're not contributing to climate change by having to ship things, but also it's expensive. Like we just found out in the last couple of weeks, some more people ordered single signs from the website on accident. We didn't label it effectively, and it was going to cost more than we charged for the sign to ship the sign to them, and it was like. And that's part of what I did while I was in Birmingham. I was like, I'm dropping off signs. Like I'm here. Most of the signs were ordered in that area. So I was like, cool, I will drop off 3 of the 5 signs I got ordered by singles. Gave one to my campaign manager because she's closer. Taylor, thank you for doing that. And there's one in Huntsville, which we end up just making the call because of gracious donors. Like, people have donated enough to where it was like, look, it doesn't make sense for me to spend $15 to ship a single sign to this person. So I just made the call, like, I'm just going to ship them a batch. Like, we're going to order a whole new batch, ship it to them, and hey, please distribute those wisely. And then, do your thing. They wanted to show some support. Other people have taken up the slack, and I don't mind putting some of those funds towards somebody who wants to support the campaign but can't do more financially. Let's share that burden, right?
Oh yeah, it's like, don't feel like, even though we talk a lot about money and money makes the world go around, let's not lie, there are so many things that you can do for free that would help out drastically.
Yeah, and a lot of that is it's engaging here on social media, because that helps with algorithms. Like, the platforms like engagement, so the more that people engage, the more likely this is to be shown to other people. And the other part is what I said earlier, like, literally just talking to the people around you. Like, we have to start
Safely.
Yeah, if it's safe. Like, don't endanger yourself, but talk to the people around you and get a feel for where they're at. And more often than not, the people that I've talked to, more often than not, it turns into, yeah, I mean, it kind of sucks, but what are you gonna do? And it's like, well, I mean, it's kind of how this is supposed to work. Like, if you don't like it, we change it, and that's why I'm running. Like, we can change this. Now, can I change everything? No, I'm aware of that, but we can make some positive change for our state. We just have to get together, and we have to work together. This won't be the election shouldn't be a landslide that doesn't actually represent its populace. Like, it just, that isn't how it's supposed to work. It's currently how it does, but that's an intentional decision by a large group of people that have a lot of influence. So all we have to do is get together and work together and show that our end goal is to make sure more people are better off through my campaign and through my my term in office. Like, I want to make sure people are better off. I can't fix everything, but we want to have a net positive impact on people, and that's the goal. So we're at 9:45. If Taylor, if you don't have anything else, I think we'll wrap up real quick. Get ready for the next meeting. It's field organizing at 10 o'clock. So we're going to talk about the actual, like, boots on the ground, the events, things. Trying to actually get people coordinated and involved. And if you want to attend that, please show up. I know there's only a couple people watching on Facebook currently. I'm going to try and get the TikTok stream going so we can have some people showing up there, hopefully. And if you're seeing this after the fact, mark your calendars. Tuesdays at 7 is our policy meeting where we talk about healthcare, education, and the prison system. If there's anything else that's topical, we'll happily bring it up and talk about it, but that's the primary focus of the campaign. Saturdays at 9 a.m., this meeting, that's our strategy meeting where we talk about how we want to effectively reach more people as a campaign. And then at 10 is field organizing, and that's a kind of like a subset, honestly, of the strategy meeting. It's the person-to-person interactions. It might be phone calls and emails, but it's that one-to-one, closer to one-to-one relationship rather than broader group policy or group campaign tactics. So I think I'm good. Taylor, do you have anything else?
No, I'm good.
Sweet. All right, everybody have a good 15 minutes, and we'll see you at 10 o'clock.
Let me know.